Hey guys, welcome back. This is History of Digimon Digital Monsters Season 1 Episode 23. This is about the first episode of arc number 3 of Season 1. Now, before I start talking about it, I just want to mention to you guys, I'll probably do 2 more videos probably before I stop for today, and this arc, the third arc, is the longest of the entire season, so I need you guys to just bear with me on this as we get through it. Oh, and there is an episode in this third arc, which is the most crucial of the entire first season. It's episode 29, but I won't tell you what it's called until I get to that point. And I will tell you this. I'll tell you how long this arc is. It goes from episode 22 all the way to episode 39. So just bear with me as I get to that point. I just wanted to get that out of the way first. Okay, now the way this video starts off is Agumon saying, "Where is everybody?" And then Tai saying that it's great, some welcome home. And then Agumon's wondering, this is right where they left, right where he and Tai had left them. Where could they have gone? And then Tai's Digivice acts up. And then what happens what happens after that is he's saying that someone's around because he got a lock on their Digivice location, and he says he's got a lock like northwest, just a couple of clicks. And then Agumon is saying that he's impressed with Tai. He really knows what he's saying. And then what happens is Tai's telling Agumon that he seems to watch a lot of TV. He watches a lot of TV and stuff. And I should quickly mention what this episode is called in the English dub. It's called Forget About It. I'll explain why it's called that when I get to a point in it. He said, Agumon said that he hopes to find his friends because that he's hungry and stuff. And then when you get the lock on the Digivice, they find TK's tag and crest along with his Digivice, and they find Tokamon on the floor, and then Tai is wondering, asking if he's alright, and then Tokamon is saying that not exactly. In the next scene, he's saying that he looks like Tai, and then Tokamon is saying that he is Tai, and that he's alive, and then Tai is saying last time he said yeah, the last time he checked. And Agumon's wondering if a back-gear Digimon got him, and he said no, because if it was something simple like that, he wouldn't be so upset. And then what happens after that is Ty's wondering where everyone is and where TK is, and then he's saying that Tokamon is saying that TK is somewhere off with his new friend, and then Ty's wondering what he means by a new friend. And then what happens is Tokamon is saying that he better ask TK, and then what happens after that is he said he would, but TK's not here, and he wants Tokamon to start from the beginning and tell him what happened. And then Tokamon is telling them that they were gone an awful long time. And then Ty's wondering how long. And then Tokamon in his narration before they start talking is saying that they looked high and low for him. And then he makes a little joke in the narration. He says that he did most of the low parts and stuff like that. And until finally, and then everyone's talking. Joe's saying that it's no use. They're practically lost themselves. Matt's saying that in the narration, Matt is saying that it's no use. They're practically lost themselves. And in the past narration, Mimi is saying that she's been lost ever since she got to the digital world and stuff. And then Izzy is saying that about Jedi, maybe he knows where they are. And then what happens is Joel is saying, and where do they find Jedi? And then later on, it's nighttime, and then during the night, Digimon's asking Sora if TK would be upset, and then she said maybe, but he'd be safer with them, and then Demon and Sora saying that they're going off to find time on their own, and they tell Togemon not to tell anyone, and then Togemon's narrating again, and he says that that's how it started. First Sora left, and then they all went off in search of Sora, and then apparently someone had said that they would find they would have better luck if they split up. And then what happens is after that, he said pretty soon only Matt, TK, Gabumon, and me were left. And then in the next thing, TK saying, "Why did everyone go away?" and stuff like that. And when you're lost, you're supposed to be together. And then Matt is saying that he says that they had just had better ideas of what was easier to do, and he said that and then he says that they looked everywhere, and if Ty was anywhere in the location they were at, he would have found him. And then TK's telling him that they could have missed something, they better go back. And Matt's saying that it's hopeless, and TK's saying that he could find him. And then Matt's freaking out at TK, and then TK starts crying, and then Matt's saying that he didn't mean it. And what happens is he says that he's not to worry because wherever Agumon and Tai are, he's sure they're probably perfectly alright. And then TK is saying that any minute now they'll be back. And then Matt says that they'll bring a bunch of presents with them and stuff. And then what happens is, in Togemon's narration, he said that he knew Matt was only kidding TK about the presents and stuff. And then what happens is, but he also says in his narration, but that didn't matter because just as suddenly, he says that, well, they come across what looks like a amusement park, and then Togemon is saying in his narration that Matt didn't seem too excited about it, that there was something on his mind that he couldn't stop thinking about and stuff like that. And what happens after that is Matt is just telling TK he'll be alright. And then what happens is after that, Matt's asking TK if he'll be alright on his own, and TK says that he'll be fine, and then Matt makes a bit of a joke about that. He's like, "That's my big little bro," and stuff, which is kind of funny, really. And then what happens is, TK's wondering if he'll come back, and then what happens after that is, he says that he'll be right back. He's just going to check this place out. He'll be gone in like a couple of hours at the most and stuff. And then Gabumon is telling Togemon that he's in charge of looking after him while they're away. And then what happens is after that, they go on the swan boat that they have, and then what happens is they start paddling it, and then what happens is after that, Matt says that they should take care of themselves, and it's an amusement park, so they should like amuse themselves and stuff. And then what happens is TK's a little depressed a bit, and then they keep waiting and waiting by the river, and then in the next scene, TK says that he's coming and stuff, and then what happens after that is he's saying that they waited in the park for almost a week, and TK started looking out at the river until he couldn't stop looking anymore. And then what happens is after that, in the next scene, Togemon is saying that he waited and waited. And then what happens after that is what happens after that is the fact that and then TK's saying that he's coming any moment now. We'll see their boat out there, and then he starts crying and saying that he's gone. He just knows it. He's gone away like all the others, and he said he'd be back. And then he tells himself that he said he'd be back in a couple of hours, and then he starts crying, and then this weird little Digimon with wings that looks like a bowling ball shows up. Now, I should quickly mention who he is. His name is Demidevimon. And he's one of 3 versions of Devimon that'll show up in this first season. Except the Devimon that showed up in the first arc was the main villain, and this one is just basically a lackey and stuff. And the last version of Demidevimon that'll show up will also be a minion, but it'll be a female version of him also. Called Lady Demidevimon. I just thought I'd get that out of the way first. Anyway, he said his name's Demidevimon, and then Pokemon's saying that he knows about him, and then Demidevimon says that he's flattered, and Pokemon's telling them that he shouldn't be, because nothing he heard about him was good. And technically, he did work for Edamon, but since he was defeated, according to Demidevimon, he quit thanks to him. Now, actually, Demidevimon is now a minion of the major villain of the 3rd arc, which I'll explain when I get to where he shows up. Also, he says that Edamon's kaput thanks to him, thanks to TK and the others, for something which he's eternally grateful. And then what happens is after that, he says that personally he never liked the guy, and then TK is telling him about Matt if he's seen him, that he's in a boat. And then Demidevimon is saying that is that the reason why he's so upset? Then he came to the right Digimon, and he tells him that. And then TK tells him that his brother's name is Matt. And then what happens is after that, Demidevimon flies off, and then he comes back again, and he tells, there's a small narration from Pokemon again. He's telling them that he couldn't believe one of Edamon's creepy henchmen was being helpful, but soon enough, just a few minutes later, and then Demidevimon comes back and he says some things. He said that Matt doesn't want to see TK anymore, that he's too busy babysitting with a crybaby and stuff, and then TK gets upset, and then what happens after that is Demidevimon, then TK starts running away, and then later on they're sitting out by the river, and Pokemon is telling TK not to believe Demidevimon because they've been working on the crying thing, and he's gotten really good at it. He really has. And then Pokemon is telling that he goes off to find Demidevimon, and he's telling him that he has to stop lying to TK. And then Demidevimon doesn't know what he means by that, and Pokemon is telling him to take back all those lies. And then Demidevimon makes a bit of a joke. He's like, "My, that's a big talk coming from a pink gerbil with an overbite." And then he's telling Pokemon that does he have any proof as to why he's lying, and Pokemon said that he isn't, that he doesn't have any actual proof. And then Devimon's like, "There you go, you're just assuming the worst because of my background. That's not right, it's superficial is what it is. That's so superficial. Just because I'm not a cuddly little butterball like you, that you think I might be a bad guy." And then he said that TK is more enlightened, and then Pokemon uses his bubble and hits Demidevimon, and then what happens is TK runs to where Pokemon is, and he said that he saw Pokemon take a shot at him, and then what happens is Demidevimon said that he can understand why he felt too resentful, because it's only natural that he found a new friend and stuff. And then what happens after that, TK is telling him that apology seems to be in order, and Pokemon said that he won't apologize, and then TK tells him to leave, and then he throws his Digivice and crest on the ground, and he says goodbye, and that's basically where the flashback stops. And then Agumon makes a little bit of a sarcastic kind of remark. He's like, "You see, Ty, we go away for a few days and everything falls apart." And then Ty is saying that first they should find out what TK is up to, then they'll go find Matt and the others. And then he tells Tokamon to take them to where they are. And then what happens is Tokamon, Tai is saying that TK's in there, and then Tokamon is saying that TK is somewhere in there with that flying pony, and then in the next scene it shows that TK and Demidevimon playing around and stuff, and what happens is Demidevimon goes off on his own for a minute, and then Tokamon and Tai show back up, and TK is really happy about them being back, and what happens is, and then later on, when Demidevimon's gone, he finds some of the Gazamons. Now, this is going to sound kind of weird, guys, but the reason why this episode is called Forget About It is because of these mushrooms that are in the digital world. I'll just explain what they are. They're called the mushrooms of forgetfulness. Now, what they are is they're a poisonous mushroom, and any creature or any human in the digital world who eats them loses their memory instantly. And Demidevimon tried to poison TK and Tokamon with it, but it was actually thanks to Agumon and Sora that they found out about them and stuff. And then what happens is, after that, Tokamon is saying that he's lying just like he did about Matt, and then Agumon saying that it was a lie, wasn't it? And then he goes after him, he says yes, and then TK says that he's a flying rat, and then he asks Tokamon to forgive him, only if they promise that they'd always be friends and stuff. And then what happens is Tai gives TK his Digivice and crest, and then his crest starts to glow, and then Demidevimon freaks out, and he's like, "Who gave you the idea that crest was yours? Hand it over, you little squirt!" And then Tokamon jumps off TK's arm, and then it goes to the scene where they're digivolving, and Tokamon digivolves to Patamon, and Patamon goes to fight Demidevimon and stuff, and then TK is wondering why he's not waiting for them to come up, and then Ty's reminding TK to let him do what he has to do, because he's got a feeling he's going to be alright. And then after a couple of scenes where he uses his boom bubble attack to get Demidevimon to fall into the ocean, what happens is TK is saying that Patamon was great, and he's also, because of that, he's also feeling kind of extra bad about the way he treated them. And then Patamon is saying that they promised they'd always be friends, and like the first rule of friendship is forgive and forget. And then what happens is, after that, TK is saying that it's okay, because he'll pretend that he had a bite of that funny mushroom, and then Tai says that that's sweet. And then what happens is, after that, he's asking Agumon how he knew about it, and he says a voice in his head, and it was actually Sora that did that, by the way. I thought I'd get that first part out of the way. And then what happens is, it goes to where Demidevimon is, and he says that he was so cold, and then this dark image shows up, and he's like, "Oh, damn it, boy, forgive me, oh terrible one. The sex of all this game to play, but I'll make it up to you. I'll work overtime, and on Sundays." And then, what happens is, Tai is saying that Izzy was totally right when he said that everything that happens in the digital world somehow affects their own world, and that they gotta fix things in the digital world before they can return to their own. And then he says also that it doesn't take a mushroom of forgetfulness to make them forget sometimes who their real friends are. And then TK is saying sorry to Patamon again, and then Patamon is saying that it's forgotten, and then TK says that he forgot, and that's basically how the episode stops. So if you guys like this video on YouTube, just please give it the real best you guys can, and I'll see you guys next time. Keep it digital.